welcome to another episode of M.S.M Reviews. And today we'll be reviewing Marvel's Avengers. Here it is, with the 5 movies been leading up to the team up movie. Well, in Avengers, we finally get it. Was it worth the wait? Well, let me tell you, yes, it was. Seeing this movie, the Avengers, the first Avengers movie, it was worth the wait. I mean, the action scenes, the characters, it was all building up to this moment, and it was done well. It really was done. They accomplished what they set out to do, the filmmakers. With that said, basically in this movie, we get our main villain who we saw in Thor, Loki, pretty much survived his incident in the Thor movie, and he comes back to Earth to get the Tesseract and bring an army from space to Earth. That's basically the main plot. He brings an army from space, and it's up to the Avengers, Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America, and Hawkeye, and Black Widow to all team up to stop Loki. And what can I say? This movie, when I first saw it, I was taken away. I was involved. I was so much synced in to the movie when I saw it in theaters. I was drawn in. Really, oh my God, please don't die, don't. I was really, oh my God, into it. But with that said, let's get into, the review of it and what's in this movie. Well, basically, Loki comes and tries to take the Tesseract to send these aliens from space. He will command. And basically, Nick Fury calls in the Avengers. And, we get to see the Avengers. And Hawkeye is pretty much under a mind control thing from Loki's staff. And the professor we see in Thor, he's under his mind control. So, pretty much in half of this movie, Hawkeye is against the Avengers. But Nick Fury calls in Captain America, Iron Man, and Hulk, and Black Widow. And they all meet up on this aircraft. And they finally get a signal of where Loki is, and they pretty much come and get him, and they pretty much take him captive pretty easily, which turns out Loki wanted to be captured. It was part of his plan. And then we see this pretty much funny scene. Thor finally shows up and takes Loki, and we see Iron Man jump out of the plane to confront Thor, and him and Thor fighting, and it was just a lot of wit going back and forth, and they finally stop fighting. Captain America shows up and puts it into that shit, and we see them finally putting Floki back on the plane, and Thor comes with them back to the headquarters. And turns out Loki devised his plan to get captured, so Hawkeye shows up with some of the men, and they finally get the Tesseract and the staff. And they pretty much end up heading towards New York. And we see that kind of are too late. They already opened the portal, and aliens, a big, massive alien army is coming through this portal. So we get a good action set piece of all the Avengers, and then Hawkeye. I mean, he gets knocked out doing this whole getting Loki back and all that. So he's back on the side of good, and so we get all the Avengers together, and they're pretty much taking on this army. And God, that's the scene in here that Loki gets knocked off his craft, and Hulk jumps in, and and Loki just looks at Hulk and says, "Stop!" and just pretty much go on a rant, and then Hulk just picks him up and slams the shit out of him. And we hear this one line of Hulk saying, "Puny God," and the whole theater laughed, and I remember laughing too, because that was pretty good, and it was witty. So they pretty much stopped the porter, but Iron Man takes this deterrent and pretty much goes into the portal and throws it in there. Pretty much destroys all the army. But there's this brief second that we think Iron Man was going to make it back. And then he falls all the way down, hits the ground. And we think Iron Man's dead, but he's not. Hulk yells, and Iron Man wakes up, and we're like, oh, he's like, oh shit. So they pretty much stop Loki. Thor takes Loki back to his land, Asgard, and the Tesseract. And then Iron Man and Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, travel together. Then we see Captain America riding his motorcycle. And pretty much all the Avengers are going their separate ways until next time they're all called together. And that's pretty much the end of the movie until the after credit scene. We see one of the alien generals who talked to Loki during the movie, tell him, if you fail, whatnot, blah, blah, blah. We see him talk to someone. We don't quite see this person until the camera pans to this person he's talking to in the chair, and we see this head and this smile. This big purple guy who turns out to be Thanos. And Thanos will be lingering through these movies and the after credits, pretty much. Like, who is this guy? This living threat. They pretty much, the alien guy says these humans ain't as weak as we thought. And we see Thanos turn his head and does a little smile. And the movie completely ends. So it makes good way of what's to come next. And let me tell you, a lot good comes next. And that is my review of Marvel Avengers. If you like what you heard, like, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch y'all on the flip side.